when the Iranian Revolution began, I was in Princeton. I had returned not long previously from a visit to Iran.
Right.
And I began to hear news items about this man, Khoemeni.
Yes.
I must confess that the name was entirely unknown to me at that point. So I did what we normally do in our profession. I went to the university library, looked up the name Khoemeni to see if there was anything either by him or about him.
Yes.
And I found a book of his called Islamic Government, which was a series of lectures which he had given in Iraq at a Shiite seminary, and which was then published. I checked this book out and read it, and that made it quite clear who he was and where he was going.
Right.
And the nonsense that we were reading in the press at the time, that this was going to be the liberal revolution, would bring, the tyrannical rule of the Shah would be replaced by a liberal democracy and so on, would be all nonsense. I tried to explain this to people at the time, but nobody wanted to listen.
Well, I remember these events well. I was quite young, and I was listening to two Princeton luminaries at the time. One was you, and saying this, and one was a colleague of mine in the department that I taught at Princeton, in the Department of Politics, a man by the name of Richard Falk, who had gone to Paris and had been granted a 6-minute or I don't know how many minutes audience with Khomeini, and Khomeini had given him the argument, the very, very liberal argument, like, look, this will be this, just the kind of the usual blather that would be offered to a foreign visitor. But indeed, Khomeini made no secret of what he wanted, the imposition of a reign of virtue and terror and an Islamic state. And when people said, what about a democratic, can we have the word democratic in the name of Iran? He said, no, it's the Islamic Republic of Iran. And this is...
I tried to point out at the time that Khomeini's position was very clearly stated in this book of his, and chaps in Washington just refused to admit the existence of the book. I said that there were copies of it in the Princeton University Library. And they said, well, it may have been planted by some hostile agency. And I said, well, I've not been very far-sighted because the book has been there 10 years. The accession dates on books in the catalogue.
Probably not checked out.
The problem was that the book was only available in Arabic and in Persian, not in any Western language. And therefore, as far as the people who mattered, it just didn't exist.